Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's iVenom with the Outer Days podcast, episode 4. Finally, an actual episode. It's been a while since I did one. Well, not really a while. It's been like a week. I've been promoting the Halloween special. If you haven't checked that one out, I encourage you to do it, especially if you're a hardcore gamer, you like horror or anything of the sort. It's awesome. But yeah, let's get down to it. So, in this episode, I actually wanted to talk about. Well, before I start, I have a really massive headache right now. I'm powering through, guys. I'm doing it for the small amount of guys that and gals that do listen to this, but hopefully y'all do stick around for this one, man. But here I am. So, what I'm doing. Oh man, I feel like I'm rambling right here. So anyway, this episode, I actually wanted to talk about something personal for me. Uh, on my socials, if you follow me on my socials, I'm sure y'all do if y'all listen to it, or are you listening to this? I had mentioned that number 4 is like a special, like a bond I have with the number 4. I don't know what it is. I really like the number 4. It probably also has something to do with the fact that I was born in April, but whatever. So, what I want to talk about in this episode is about my unproduced film, my movie, my screenplay. That's right. I know I talked about it on episode 3, on the last official numbered episode. I actually talked about it in regards to the when it came to the Halloween Kills review. I did speak about it somewhat on there about what happened, but I figured I would make an episode dedicated to it and give it a bit more focus and structure. So if you don't know, 2, 3, like it wasn't 2 years ago, but 3 to 4 years ago, around the middle to end of 2017, I got into film school. I had a job in a company named Elevon, credit card processing company under U.S. Bank, which, as far as I know, is still the fourth largest bank in the country. But I digress. I was in there, but I always knew I didn't want to be there forever. And at some point, I just wanted to pursue something else. And I'm very passionate about film. I'm sure you guys have noticed that if you've been listening to these episodes or if you follow me or you have me as a friend. So, yeah, I did. I got into a program called the Film Connection. It's about 11 months of like an e-curriculum, and you also get placed in an apprenticeship with somebody actually working in the film business. And I mentioned him on that other episode as well. I got tasked under a guy named Jason Wynn, who's a director as well, local director here in Atlanta. Great guy, great teacher. I liked working under him. He put me on like a project here and there. I worked with him as well. He helped me with my silent film that I did for that school. I never got to do the short film which was part of the curriculum, just because I couldn't get everyone's schedule in line. Looking back on it, I think the school just has a high turnover rate because I passed and I didn't even really finish not only did I not finish my short film, I had the screenplay written, I had everybody on board. It just didn't seem to work out in regards to the scheduling. It was a nice script, took a lot of inspiration from Seth Rogen projects. Seth Rogen is that guy. And believe me when I say the last big crew there's always these comedy groups in film that come about. In the 90s or in the late 90s, it was more so like the Adam Sandler crew, and then it was the Rat Pack, if I remember correctly. Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson, Ben Stiller, Will Ferrell. Right after that, it's still pretty much them, but it started heading more towards the Seth Rogen crew. You see people like Steve Carell, Paul Rudd. You see that in the Anchorman movies. And then once 40-Year-Old Virgin hit, that's when, Seth Rogen and co took off. James Franco, Jonah Hill, Russell Brand, who retired from acting and is now an accomplished journalist. Apparently, from what I hear, he's very good. I liked him in that movie, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Very good movie. So yeah, James Franco, Danny McBride, Eric Robinson was kind of in the crew as well. Again, Jonah Hill, all Leslie Mann, Judd Apatow. Michael Cera was in one film. He was in because he was in Superbad, but he wasn't exactly in like multiple movies. That was usually James, um, Jonah, Seth, and I forget that other motherfucker's name. I first saw him in Knocked Up, the lanky dude. The lanky dude. He's also in She's Out of My League, which is a movie that I actually want to see. Jay Baruchel, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Yeah, him. He was pretty good. Jason Segel as well. Man, those were the days, man. They just don't make. They just don't make. Well, I'm not gonna be a cliche. They don't make them like that anymore. But it's more so that they don't just really make comedy movies like that anymore. And what I mean by that is that they don't, like, you rarely see a comedy film anymore. And it's not even by big people, you know what I'm saying? Whereas and if they do, it's usually like veterans and stuff, but there's not like a group setting like the stage right now. As far as I know, I'm pretty in the know about movies and shit. So yeah, like it doesn't happen. It doesn't really happen anymore. It's like everyone's afraid to make comedy movies. And I'm not saying that comedy movies don't happen, but it's like, it's not the same, bruh. Like, come on, man. Fucking 40-year-old virgin, Knocked Up. I love you. I love you, man. Oh my God, that fucking movie is amazing. I love you, man. Role Models. Superbad. I never saw The Sitter, but I've been wanting to with Jonah Hill. Dude, The Interview. Come on, man. That shit was hype, man. Dude, it was just, that crew set a bar that I don't think is gonna be like, I don't think that it's gonna be like reached or surpassed anytime soon. And mostly it's because films nowadays, comedy wise, people are just so afraid to make films like that because of the cancel culture and the social political climate nowadays. It's just hard, man. Like, everyone knows it. All of comedy knows it, and that's why they've all been fighting back on it. You see Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, fighting back on it. You see other comedians like Burt Kreischer. I don't never really watch Burt Kreischer's stand up, and I know these guys aren't exactly film comedians the way Seth and Co and Ben Stiller and Co are, but Bill Burr is acts. He Breaking Bad. He was in this movie with Kevin Costner. I forget the name. He was in King of Staten Island. I still haven't watched, but I want to. He was in The Mandalorian and stuff. Steve Carell, who was the main character for a bulk of The Office, has even said that you couldn't make The Office now because they all know. They all know. Everybody knows. But anyway, I kind of like went in a tangent. I'm sorry, but that's pretty much what I took inspiration from in regards to the screenplay for the short. And then after that, I mean, I didn't get it to work. I made sort of an outline for the feature film that I was supposed to do. In the end, I was supposed to pitch it to some Hollywood producers, but I didn't get to. It's still a project that I would like to make some point. But yeah. So and I detailed some of this history at episode 3, like I mentioned before. So I just made like a 3-page horror short, right? And I kind of met some people. I don't even remember how I met them. I'm not even gonna lie, man. I don't remember. But I met them. I was like working with them on editing or whatever, just I don't know what the fuck we were doing, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, that first project I worked with like some guys, like we were doing some kind of like infomercial type of shit. And I mean, I got paid for it a little bit. Probably like the only time I ever got paid for film shit, to be honest with you. And I helped them edit it and everything. I mean, I wasn't the best, but I worked, it was good, experience. And I really like editing. Like the most of what I do right now when it comes to editing is, if I put out a gaming vid or if I, make a video version of these episodes like the Halloween special or the episode 3, I enjoy the editing. I get sucked in. Anyway, I was involved with these guys, and one of them came over to this guy's house when I was working, and he was looking to make a horror film. And I told him I made a horror short, so I'd like to make that. It was only 3 pages, and he said he was looking for a film. And I think I sent it to him and everything, and he wanted to get it made. So I guess it fell on my lap that I have to make a horror film. And over the course of the whole process, I went from 60 pages, 70 pages, 80 pages. I need to go back and see if it's 80 or 90. It's been a while since I actually looked at the script. So, and also in between that, he would assign me to projects. Like he told me he would want to make this, or he was going to make a movie, and he was going to do this project, this, like just so scatterbrained. It was so scatterbrained, honestly, looking back on it. Like, I don't know. Like, it's like he was trying to do so many fucking things, man. But in the end, like, he knew people from what it seemed, he would show me these documents when it came to distribution and the people he was affiliated with and who he's in business with. I am very sorry about. Well, I don't think you guys heard that. I'm sorry. It's because I'm on Discord, but I have myself muted and shit, so I can record this. But I just heard a noise from Discord, and I'm so used to others hearing it. But anyway, I don't think it's there. Regardless, yeah. So just recording and shit, helping him out with projects and everything, editing, and I'm trying to over here create this film. I'm hiring actors. I'm hiring crew. I'm hiring DP, everything. I'm doing everything in my power to make it happen, And I detailed to this guy how much money that I was going to need, and honestly, I gotta be honest with myself. Maybe I didn't require that much money, but what I wanted was everyone to be well compensated for their time and effort. It wasn't just me, because film it's not a one-man army, man. Not one man can do it, and we all know that. One person cannot make one movie. It requires everybody. It requires teamwork. The actors, the crew, you, as the director, it's your responsibility to lead everybody, but it's not your responsibility to hold their hand. And I say that as somebody that was doing this and working on this pre-production stage. Worked on a silent film. I made a guerrilla filmmaking short where me and my friend we recreated the scene with Vincent and Jules from Pulp Fiction. I may have mentioned that before as well. It's actually up on my YouTube. If you'd like to watch that, let me get out the profile name. I always forget the fucking name. Give me a second while I find that actually. So if you'd like to find me on YouTube, just go to youtube.com/. It says /C /outerheaven_iVenom. Let me confirm that to y'all if you do want to see something like that. Let me do it without the C. Yeah, anyway, if you'd like to see what I'm up to video-wise or whatever, I also upload the video versions of the podcast there, youtube.com/outerheaven_iVenom. So there's that. It's actually the first video that I uploaded on there. And I also worked on like a short film for my church, like maybe a year or two after this timeline. So it was around 2019 that I did it. 2018, 2019 that I did it actually. Christmas 2018 or November 2018, I was doing that short. But anyway, I heard all these people, and also this same guy was bringing to me a venture about co-owning a brandy. So I figured this would be a good way. Like, I did my research on the guy. He had business with Lil Boozy and this and that. I looked up, make sure everything was legit, just like Jason had told me. But what he didn't tell, but what he told me too was like, if there's no money up front, like, I don't know if I'm gonna do it. But it's, of course I don't have the money, but I'm looking for funding. So I figured this was a good way to fund the project. Use the money that I would end up getting from co-owning this brandy and paying for the film, and as well, and also from backers. I tried. I thought this guy was going to take care of it because he's supposed to be taking care of it. I guess you can say he's my producer slash executive producer. And I wasn't, in the end, I really wasn't seeing anything. And then even the brandy stuff, I actually saw the brandy. I tasted the damn thing. And, but it seemed like when it came to that venture, I felt like it wasn't going to happen because the guy kept telling me that the people that were in this distillery in Florida kept wanting more money. And I invested like maybe $4,000 to $5,000. $4,000 to $5,000 of my own money. And keep in mind, I had already left my job. I left my job at the beginning of 2018, actually. So this was after I had started school. And I actually paid school out of my own pocket. It cost me like a little $9,000 and some change out of my own pocket. Man, that was a good tax season. And yeah, it's like the guy wanted more money supposedly, but I was fed up. I was like, no, this shit needs to happen now, and it wasn't happening. So I said, I'm not gonna give any more money. I need to see fucking results. I'm supposed to be co-owner of this shit. And nothing was happening. I never heard back from that at all. And, I'm still working with this guy while juggling pre-production for my film. And, one time I let this guy borrow my gear, because I had good reason to. I mean, I had trust, I've let him use it like sometimes before. But then after this particular instance, he wanted to film something at this fucking bar slash strip club. And honestly, at the time, I still probably wouldn't do it now. But at the time, I was more, I had just converted. I like around the time I had converted, or I was converting into Christianity. And I was very serious. I'm still serious about it, but at the time, it was a little different. For me, it was a little different, and I didn't feel comfortable doing that. So I let him keep borrow the equipment and do it himself because I just didn't feel comfortable doing it. But after that instance, it was really hard for me to get it back because I would try to contact him and get it back. And then one time he even told me that his car broke down and the gear was in there and it's not even in the city, it's somewhere else. And I never got the fucking gear back. At some point, I wasn't getting any replies, man. And it was like, what the fuck? And that gear was like $3,000 or something. That's like, it was $7,000 to $8,000 that I used of my own money. And then to top it off, I was looking for investors. I got in touch with a friend of mine's brother who's an actor. Shout out to Steven Browder. And he took it to some other people as well, but I wasn't hearing anything back. I don't blame him or anything. Not everybody invests in everything. And this guy that I was involved with supposedly had people like hedge funds or whatever that wanted to invest, but I never heard anything back. One good thing that did happen while with him was like, well, some good things happened. I actually met Ti and I shook his hand if I remember correctly. And let me tell you something: when Ti is in the room, you know he is the man. I don't really like his music too much, but you could feel his presence, man. You can feel his presence. I was in the same room with Ti. It was insane. I remember I saw him outside of this building that this guy was renting, and I was like, "Whoa, that's actually Ti! I can't believe it." And yeah, actually, an experience with that was that my guy was trying to pitch a like a show to him and trying to convince him why he should get use his studio to make it. But to be honest, I mean, there wasn't really a studio. I mean, he had the spot to rent, but he didn't really exactly have dedicated crew. He had volunteers, you know. I was one of them there to help. So apparently we were gonna do a show for him, but who knows what happened with that, you know? And somebody in the crew for my film. The film is called Trace of Evil. I'm sorry that I had to mention that, but yeah, oh, I can't even remember. I got a headache, man. I'm sorry. Trace of Evil, horror psychological thriller film. Um, the main. Let me detail that before I go any further. So the film is supposed to be about an discharged Marine that returns home and upon returning home is experiencing these strange, it's like they're experiencing a strange person following them, whether they're at home or maybe out and about, and even having nightmares about it. And it turns out it's a person, it's a person that they had faced uh during their time in conflict. So it's like their past has come back to haunt them, you know? And parallel to that is a story about oh my god, like I wrote the story and I'm trying to remember. It's an ex cop. Not a cop anymore, but the person character has connections, you know, buddies and connections to the force. And he also, what's crazy is he's experiencing also this same exact person like in his life somehow. And it's very surreal and very out of this world for him because it's like something out of this world. He doesn't know what is going on, but this person, the character also has a troubled past. Not a troubled past is in like disgruntled, corrupt, or whatever. But he does have a troubled past, you know. So that's pretty much the story. I'm sorry if I made it sound a little boring, but discharged Marine comes back home. They're seeing somebody follow them around, even in dreams. They're thinking about this person, and it turns out it's somebody. It's revealed to us that it's somebody that they faced during their time in conflict as a Marine. So, and the story that runs parallel is that of an ex-cop who's also seemingly experiencing that same person in their lives. Um, so that's the story. Trace of Evil, psychological horror thriller. Um, Somebody in the crew actually asked me in regards to funding, and it didn't seem, you know, they asked me to send them the script, you know, so they could find somebody that could fund. I didn't hear anything, unfortunately. My DP, Cody, uh, sorry I didn't tag you in the post, man, but I'll tag you in this one. Cody, did in my DP Cody did mention to me about GoFundMe, even if I have to. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't do that. And you know what's crazy? I potentially could have got funding if I did that, but I didn't do it. That is one thing I do regret about this project is that I didn't do the GoFundMe. Maybe it was I don't know, maybe it was pride or I don't know. But my boy Cody Collins, great guy, very talented guy. Works a lot with my boy Trent Lanham, who is also gonna be my who's gonna work audio for me on the film. I met these guys with Jason, my mentor at a, a horror film production that we were doing uh, out in Noonan, Georgia. At an abandoned hospital, actually. Really great time with those guys, man. That was a really great time with the production as well. Really enjoyed my time with everyone there. Great set of guys. Um, Congrats on the baby, Trent. Really proud of you. Happy for you, man. And I know Cody. I know you're getting married, man. Awesome, man. Awesome sauce. Happy for you, dude. But they were they were ready to go. Um, Unfortunately, nothing happened. Nothing happened. And I was broken. I was looking for jobs, man. I knew my skills, my worth. I was looking for, managerial positions or maybe tech positions, and I put a a resume down for an oldies manager near my house. But good money. And I broke down. I cried. I was so sad because it was just something that I really wanted to do and that I was very passionate about and what it meant to me. And it meant to me more also because of what it was going to entail. So, not many people know this, but now's the part where I tell you what the story, not only what the story meant for me as a whole, but where it came from. I told you the origin of the inception of where it came from, a short story, but what did it really mean to me and to the actual story that I wanted to tell overall? So in high school as a sophomore, I met somebody, some chick. I used to like her, and I don't know, wasn't very healthy. But she was an artist and she inspired me. And I used to draw when I was in sixth grade and in elementary school. I used to always draw Dragon Ball Z. I loved it. And at some point, I just stopped. I just stopped drawing. I don't know why. But she inspired me back when I was a sophomore. And, I would see her draw manga / comics and shit. And, I was like, you know what? I want to make that shit too. And I made a character inspired by the main character of 666 Satan. That's a manga made by Seishi Kishimoto. It's a Japanese comic. Seishi Kishimoto is the twin brother of Masashi Kishimoto, the creator of Naruto. I'm sure some of you have heard of Naruto. And they share similarities. The story also shares similarities with Dragon Ball, because both of them were heavily inspired by it. And it also shares similarities with Naruto as well, though I do believe that 666 Satan is a superior series in the more mature series. When it came to America, it was called Old Parts Hunter. I thought that was the lamest thing ever. As a Christian, it was a stupid name change. I wasn't a Christian at the time, but still I was like, wow, that's so lame. Can't offend the Christians. And I would still rather keep the name 666 Satan because I just despise censorship with a passion. I digress. So it was inspired. My first character ever was a character inspired by the main character of 666 Satan. And he wasn't exactly a good dude. He was actually an evil character. Bad character. I decided to name him Akira. Which is ironic because I drew him in the style of Dragon Ball Z. And I still usually draw him like that, you know? Even though that's not exactly the way I draw him like that. It's like embedded into in the character's DNA. And no, I didn't call him I don't think I even called him Akira because of Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball. I just called him that because of what the name means. It's supposed to mean intelligent and smart. So then after that, I created the character Nero. Yeah, if you guys were a part of the film, or I've talked to you about my movie, you recognize that name. Yes, Nero in Trace of Evil is the exact same character I conceived back in my sophomore year. He doesn't look exactly like him, how I normally draw him now, but he did look very similar. He looks similar to the Naruto art style because I was heavily influenced by Naruto at the time. I loved that shit. At some point, I stopped adoring it the way I did because it just did not go well with that series. But I made a small little comic, back then. I thought, I liked fights, so I figured, oh, every chapter is gonna have a fight. But of course, now I don't think that's right. That's not a good thing for a story. But anyway, those characters were created, and not too long after I conceived Nero, I changed his his clothing or whatever, and then eventually he went through 3 iterations. I'll draw him out. If you follow me on my socials on Instagram, _outer_heaven. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/Ivan_Nero.Trevino, if I remember correctly. I forget all these, man. I don't keep track with URLs. Hold on, give me a second. Ivan_Nero.Trevino, I was right. So one of these days I'll just put up an evolution of the design of the character. So, I would draw the character a lot. I still draw him, and I draw Akira from time to time. And I had concocted this story of a very grandiose epic that I was going to tell, or that I've been wanting to tell. I've never really written down the outline or details of the story. It's always been in my head, and it's of course I've had influences for it here and there, whether it's films or anime, manga, comic books, novels, whatever, my own life experiences, my own beliefs, my experiences, people that I've met in my life, and everything. That's what a creator does. That's where he pulls from. So I concocted this story, and ever since I've been having it in my head. A very multi-part epic, film-wise, that I was going to tell with these 2 characters at the center of it. And I thought to myself that at the end of the story, because I'm a very big fan of anime and stuff, I wanted to keep in mind these are very high-minded, visionary things that I'm thinking, these films would be live action, right? But I would try to push the boundaries same way Avengers films do. These are crazy ideas, right? I'm not saying they could never happen, but that's what I wanted. And at the very end, I would probably, the final movie would probably be animated. Or something like that, They're not set in stone, obviously. They're just ideas in my head. But the story is in my head. Of course, I don't have every single part detailed, but I know the overarching story. I know the journeys of the characters, of these 2 characters, and what they go through, their motivations, their nuances, and everything. I've even thought of how the story ends, and the transformations that the characters have, and even a sort of meta narrative that it could entail. So for years, since 2009, the beginning of 2009 till now, or let's say to when I'm making Trace of Evil, I've been thinking about the story and how I've been wanting to tell it. And then Nero was never really a part of Trace of Evil at first. Um, but I thought of it as an outlet to sort of introduce like like a prologue or an origin story to the character somehow. So I figured, oh, maybe I can like I needed to extend the film. I needed to extend this script and do something. So that's what I did in order to make the film into what it became. So Shakeb Malone, um, if you're listening to this, that's what I had to do. I had to tell a story parallel in order to make a complete film, and that's what I do. That's what I ended up doing. So I integrated Nero into the story with an, origin story and stuff. And I was playing him, of course. You guys know that. Some of you guys don't know, but I was going to play him. But I was never going. In each part of the story, I wouldn't exactly play him. In my ideas, I figured that I would probably have different actors play him in this multi-part story because of what the character's about and what he's supposed to be. Not all of you know this, know the character the way I do because I know him very intimately. But I figured because of the what who the character is, I figured a good way to kind of elaborate on that or even inspire people would be like in every part I would hire in every part a different actor would portray the character. So like in Trace of Evil I would portray him, but like at the beginning of the actual story of Nero's story and Akira's story, another actor would play him. And then the second part of that story, a black actor would play him. So there would be no set race to the character. I even thought about making him maybe female in one film. It was never that I never really decided firmly on that, but I knew that I wouldn't mind other races playing him. And then at the very end of the story, maybe have somebody play him that looked very similar, or maybe me play him, or like I said, have the film animated to have him look the way I've always envisioned him. And if somebody was gonna play him in a live action version, I would play Akira. I would always play Akira because Akira was technically my first ever created character. And it would be easy for me to play him because look wise, Nero was a blondie. I'm not blonde and my hair is not like that. My hair is more similar to Akira's, if anything. I know that sounds very lazy. Like, oh, just slap on this role to this guy. I mean, they look close enough, right? You know? But it's just because I know both of the characters so intimately, you know? So that's what I wanted to do. And every film would have like a certain theme, like when it came to, like, let's say a color palette. So these are all future plans for you guys, okay? I'm not making Trace of Evil as a film, nor do I intend to, nor do I ever think it will be. It's like it might, but my goal is to make it into a comic book. And some of you know this, some of you don't. But that's what I want to do. I want to make a comic book for this film. And I've always been an artist at heart. I think I show that pretty well when I edit, when I draw, and it might be a little harder for me to make it now because now it is a one-man army, technically. And I have to be on my A game, I have to be on my A game. But you know what? It's okay because I'm not bogged down by money if going this route. The only thing that bogs me down is my own creativity and talent. And I feel like if I hone them enough, I'll be able to create something really well. Because that's what ultimately is going to satisfy me. If I can tell this story this Trace of Evil story, which leads into this grandiose epic that I wanted. And also, I didn't mention this, but the feature film that I was going to do for the Film Connection was actually an origin story for Akira. It was going to be a completely different film than Trace of Evil, actually. It was more of a crime drama. It was a crime drama that took place in LA. Very pulpy, actually. You know, it's something that you would probably see in Breaking Bad, the way it's written there. But it's also it also took heavy inspiration from this movie Blood In, Blood Out. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty much the most popular Mexican slash Chicano movie ever. It's pretty much Mexican Godfather when it comes to quality. It's an amazing film. Well, maybe I'm going too far. Maybe it's not as great as Godfather, but it's the Chicano slash Mexican's Godfather film, all right? It's so fucking good. Go watch it. Yes, it is in English. Sometimes they may speak in Spanish offhand because, you know, that's just part of the characters, you know, they're Chicanos, Mexican Americans. So I took inspiration from that. And I even, you know who I actually wanted to play one of the main characters that wasn't Akira? I would have played Akira in that film as well. I wanted Benjamin Bratt, who was actually in Blood In, Blood Out. If you didn't watch The Informant with Bryan Cranston, he was actually in that film as well. But yeah, Benjamin Bratt, I would have had him be the character. He would have been the main character. It would have been his film, pretty much. But that's what I wanted. So, but it was an origin story to Akira, and then it would have eventually led to maybe movie or two more about him, like maybe some more backstory, and then it would be like a huge gap towards Trace of Evil when it came to his character journey. You wouldn't really have met Akira in Nero's story until maybe the second film in the multi-part epic. So it comes Trace of Evil, right? And then the start of Nero's story, which was the first movie. And then in the second movie, you might have seen Akira. You know? But before that, you would have only have seen him in the other movie, before Trace of Evil. Keep in mind, I didn't really have timelines to make either of these movies, you know. So I more than likely will make that film as well into a comic book, but Trace of Evil was the closest I was going to get into making an actual story. So it's my focus. And it's also the beginning, of course, of my second ever created character's origin story, who's pretty much the protagonist of this multi-part epic. So I feel like it's only appropriate, I guess. These characters are a part of me. At some point, when I was broken and I couldn't make this film, Trace of Evil, you know, I got into reselling tech and everything, which eventually led to me having my own store right now. And at some point, I made peace with not being able to make the film. I didn't care anymore, you know. It was okay. I felt it was okay. It's all right. It didn't happen, and I made peace with it. But now it's less to do with the movie and more so with the story because it nags on me. The story nags on me. I don't want this to be something that I just think about and I never got out. It's just something in my head. I don't think I will ever be satisfied until I am able to do this because this is a story that I've been wanting to tell for that I've been making over 10 years ago. 12 years ago. Almost 13 this January. You know? It's, in a sense, my life's work would be my life's work. And I can't be satisfied until I tell the whole story. You know? And if this is the only way to tell the story, that's okay. All I want to do is be able to tell it. So I mean, it's hard. It's going to take some time, guys. You know, I really have a lot of things to do. I have this podcast to do. I have my store, which is my primary thing that I know, that I have to focus on, guys. You know, I got to make that bread. I got to make, ends meet, I got to live, So that's my main focus, as I detailed before in earlier posts on my socials. I laid out the three things that I was doing: my store, this story, and this podcast. And I guess this podcast kind of took precedent, has been kind of taking precedence over the story, but it's because it's just a lot of things, man. It's not just work. Sometimes I just want to relax, play games, watch a movie, hang out with my girlfriend. I love you so much, Maya. Shout out to you, Maya. Be with my friends, my family. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of things that I have to juggle. So it's going to take some time, but I was doing concept art the other day for the main character of the film, Mia. I'm pretty sure it was Mia. I'm sorry, Malone. It's been so long, I made peace with it. So it's kind of hard for me to remember. Okay. I need to actually go back and read. Thankfully, the script is done. It's copywritten and everything. I copywrote different drafts each. So like once I made one, I copywrote it, and then once I made a final version, I copywrote that as well. So everything's done on that end. I just need to go back, read on it before I even start drawing. And of course I need to hone my skills as an artist too, because there's some things that I still need to work on. Hands are a bitch, guys. If you ever want to start drawing, let me just tell you something. Hands, when they're moving and shit, very difficult to do. It's not easy. I need to hone, some things on the human body, backgrounds, and I also have a lot of trouble making clothing, like design choices for characters and stuff when it comes to clothing. Sometimes girls are even hard to draw too. So yeah, I got my work cut out for me. And wanting to make the story a reality and wanting to make my dream a reality. And that's the thing. I don't want this to be a dream. I don't. That's, So, yeah, Trace of Evil. Also, I am going to tell this story, and each part will have like a evil motif. I had already thought of that. Each part of the films would have a theme referencing Metallica albums. Yes, I'm letting you guys know right now. Even the color palettes of the films would take from like the Metallica albums. The first four albums, just the first four albums. So, yeah, I took inspiration from that too. And that's what I was going to implement. I think I'll still somehow implement a lot of these things, into this story going forward. So again, this episode isn't just about, what happened to my movie, but what it's going to become, and the future of the of not just one story, but of a larger and a larger story. Trace of Evil is just one part of a larger story. So, and I have all the intention of making everything a reality. So yeah, this is not gonna be that much longer, maybe like a minute or two or whatever more. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about in this episode. Very special episode to me, very intimate episode. Oh, number 4, you do it again. So yeah, Trace of Evil. Be on the lookout for that, man. It's coming. And I've been looking into actually making it for Image Comics or Viz Media's Viz Originals. I just feel like those are probably the better place to try to publish them at. at some point. And the art style of this book will actually be, manga slash anime, influence and stuff. So, but regardless, I haven't even, like, I'm thinking about doing it in black and white actually. But maybe not, just to keep the filmic aspect of it. Be- if I keep it in black and white, I might still be compromising my vision. I want to be able to get like my vision as much as possible onto those pages. But again, black and white or in color, not set in stone. But I'll figure it out. Um, I might go with color. I really like. I've switched over to digital art. It's a bit more handy and less time consuming than actual physical art, but it still comes with its own share of challenges. So, and it doesn't mean it doesn't make me a better artist automatically for using it, but it is handy. Again, I still like doing 2D art, but I feel going forward I'm gonna be doing digital. So yeah, that was this podcast episode 4. What are we gonna title it? What happened in your movie? Trace of Evil? Well, y'all, I guess we'll see once this is up, right? So yeah, if you're tuning into this again, the episode is everywhere. Spotify, my website, the Outer Deus podcasts. I don't even remember the list of the thing, man. I got so much shit. Yeah, so the website, if you want to listen to it, like listen to my podcast directly, like a website or an intro or a quick bio or subscribe or whatever, theouterdeus.podbean.com. That is the website. Theouterdeus.podbean.com. It's available. The podcast is also available on Spotify, Podbean, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, Listen Notes, Inc., and it should also be listed on Deezer, Podcast Addict, and a couple more places. So yeah, Instagram, if you would like to follow my Instagram, _outer heaven. You can get everything that I'm doing, updates there, whether gaming, personal stuff or just projects or whatever. Mostly just updating on projects and this podcast on there. Facebook.com/ivanero.trevino. The youtube.com/outer heaven _iVenom. You'll catch the video versions of the podcast there, and also my gaming videos there. And if you want to look at any past work or whatever, it'll be there too. I'll more than likely be doing, I also will probably do like one-off, reaction videos or like rants or whatever, just for fun, whatever. Yeah, rants for fun, right? But I'll probably also post them on Reels on Instagram and on Facebook. So just, stay on me on everything. And this will be up soon, hopefully by tomorrow on November 11th. So this has been iVenom with the Outer Deus podcast, episode 4. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.